So this is you. You have just switched to watercolors and are struggling to understand this medium. And you're looking for a quick hack to fix your watercolor mistakes without masking fluid or any premium tools. Then this video is for you. Hi, I am your creative mama, and if you're wondering how I landed with this gorgeous art even with the watery errors you just saw, then today I am showing you exactly how I corrected my biggest watercolor blunders without using any premium tools but using just a brush, water and a technique I ended up discovering by accident. But before that, let me share the materials I have used here. This is an art paper, a 300 GSM watercolor bookmark which has high water absorbency and has a heavy texture, which is going to help us use the technique that I will be teaching today. The brushes that I have used are Bomega synthetic brushes. Though the exact ones are not available, I have linked a similar one in the description for you guys. The paints I will be using are Winsor & Newton watercolor cakes, though premium, but you can use any that you like. It's moldy now since I did a sand art recently, and this was shot before I painted these Krishna. Most importantly, please note I have not used any masking fluid in this complete artwork. So just to let you know that you can still create layers, highlights and corrections even without these premium tools. So let me take you right into the moment where this painting began. I had picked up watercolors after months of doing acrylics, and if you have used both, you already know. They behave like two different worlds. Watercolors flow how they want, they move, and within just a few seconds of starting this painting, it turned into a total mess. Now watch closely. I added my first layer and immediately there was too much water, pooling in the wrong places, blending oddly, bleeding into areas it shouldn't. The kind of stage where you look at your paper and you think, what am I even doing? And trust me, I was this close to giving up, but I reminded myself that every skill needs practice, especially when you're starting again from scratch. And I continued. And that's exactly where the magic happened. You'll notice in this video, the eyebrows look terrible at first, patchy, uneven, almost like the painting is ruined. The eyelids, even worse. But mistakes are great, right? Since they help us learn things in a better way. Anyone looking at the mid stage would think if this is ever going to recover, and this is where most of us give up. But remember, watercolors always look chaotic midway, and that's why trusting the process matters so much. Now coming to the hack, the thing you are actually here for. In most videos, you'll see shiny masking fluid, premium brushes, expensive paper, very specific materials used to teach just the basic techniques. But let me tell you the truth. You do not need any of that to fix your watercolor mistakes. Because as I kept painting, I noticed something. Every time the water started pooling, instead of waiting for it to dry, which is what most of the artists will tell you, I simply did one thing. I gently swept my brushes across the wet areas. Not blending, not coloring, just lifting the excess like you're seeing right now. And that tiny motion turned into something that honestly saved the entire painting. I started calling it my sweeping technique. Not because it's an official term, but because it became my way of rescuing my watercolor layers without masking fluid, without tissue paper, without any fancy tools. You'll see it again and again in this video. Whenever the water misbehaves, I sweep it lightly, control it softly, guide it instead of fighting it. And slowly the portrait begins to take shape. The eyebrows that looked horrible start looking structured. The eyelids become softer. The face starts gaining depth and dimension. The chaotic middle stage begins transforming into something actually beautiful. And that's why I always say you don't need the premium add-ons to create a beautiful painting. You need patience, understanding and a bit of a jugaad. Because art doesn't come from fancy tools. It comes from how deeply you understand your medium. If you have taken a long break from painting, this will happen. You will feel shaky. The first few strokes might feel wrong. The blending might look messy. But that doesn't mean you have lost your skill. It just means you need to reconnect with the medium. That's all I did here. I trusted the process, I allowed the mistakes, I corrected them using simple tricks, and I kept going. So when you watch the rest of this painting come together, observe the flow of water, the highlights, the way the shadow deepens, and of course, watch closely whenever I use a sweeping motion to fix those watery blunders. And one more thing, if you have made watercolor blunders too, tell me in the comments below. Maybe your mistake will become my next video. Maybe I'll show you another way to fix it without fancy supplies. And maybe someone else will learn from your experience too. And remember, your mistakes don't ruin your art, they guide you towards your style. If you enjoy learning from mistakes instead of just seeing perfect art, you will love my upcoming videos. Until next time, this is your creative mama. Like, share, and hit the subscribe button and follow along as we turn more blunders into masterpieces. Bye.
Wow.